I've heard countless horror stories about, I have some close friends now who resent their dad. They worked great together, but they resent it now. They've taken over the business because, dad's living in Arizona in the big house, whatever. And he's still paying for things for dad, and they're upset about it. That's not my case. And I'm incredibly fortunate for that and, and thankful.
Even with Bob Holland, I've just heard numerous other stories about him helping come into that dynamic, because if left to vices, sometimes it's just an impasse and no one's going to move forward. But having someone that can help get both of them to see the end game here, do you really want to bury your son and all the things you're trying to do?
Exactly.
You really want to do that,
Yeah, because business, it keeps us, we got to move. We got a lot of work to do. So retirement has been a struggle really kind of for my dad, right? He still comes into the shop most days a week, which is hilarious. But yeah, it's hard to kind of just shut that off because the business is our life, right? We answer the phones all hours of the night, day, whatever, weekends. It doesn't matter to us, right? We want to make sure we're keeping our customers happy. So if I got a problem with, a city inspection or something, he's still my mentor. I can call him and say, hey, Pops, remember that a couple years ago, this happened? What did you do again? He goes, you did this or this or this. And, we get out of it.
Welcome to The Roll Call, the podcast where we dive into the roles that define us. I'm your host, John Glahn. On each episode, we explore the journeys of people discovering their true roles in life, business, and beyond. Get ready for inspiring conversations about finding purpose and authenticity. Let's roll the roll call.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Roll Call podcast. I'm John Glahn. I have with me Jairus Mikols.
Hello.
With SBP.
Yes.
The president of and head dishwasher and all the fun things.
You got that right.
Jairus, thanks for joining me. Long time coming, right? We met through Vistage, our peer group, and obviously we have the common chair,
yes.
the great Robert Holland.
Yes.
And I love your story. I love that what you're doing, what was brought in front of you, and where you're taking it. So I'm excited to see where we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time, and let's see how it rolls.
Yeah, awesome. So I didn't describe what SBP is. How about you describe what it is and what you do?
Absolutely. So SBP, we've come up with a tag name. We move air for a pure experience. So, kind of leaves it pretty wide open, wondering what we do. But essentially, we're a mechanical contractor. And we started out, really our bread and butter is paint booths for the auto refinish industry. Body shops, collision shops, dealerships. Mm-hmm. That's what we did. That's what we do. And then from there, it's kind of expanded into a little bit larger of a mechanical company. We do a lot of industrial work, moving air. So makeup air units for, people that make weldments, kind of steel processing, things like that, big fans, so we're just making sure employees have a decent environment to work in what could be otherwise nasty environments. So,
yeah, so that was the interesting part, right? Because the name previous or current, whatever, right? Spray booth products, right?
Yep.
In the beginning, that niche of spray booth. And I remember when we met, I was like, holy shit, wow, there's a whole thing that's all you can focus on and have a thriving business, right? Because it's been, how old is the company?
So my dad started it in 2007. I joined him in 2010. But previously he worked for a gentleman, mid-90s is when he really got into the industry. So
yeah. So you've taken that and I know it's territory based, right? You're
correct.
You're here in Michigan for the most part. But now you're expanding, you've now, there's so many other applications of moving chemicals, airs, like you said, however you said it, with the employees and keeping them safe with clean air.
Exactly. Yeah. When I joined the business, I thought to myself, paint booths, really? There's that many of them? How can we keep a sustainable business here? Oddly enough, especially in the Motor City, they're everywhere.
Right.
We kind of akin it to Starbucks. We look for stacks, which is kind of our tagline. So when we're driving down the road, we look for these big ductwork stacks that are on buildings. And, you would think they're few and far between, but they're absolutely everywhere.
yeah, especially in industrial town here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you said your dad started it. What brought you into the business?
This is a fun story. So I went to college for business administration. Prior to college, I was working for my parents' neighbor, actually, and it was an event planning business. So I worked there all through high school, even a little bit in grade school, kind of sweeping floors. Went to college. The idea was I was going to take over this business. The gentleman who owned it was, on the path to retirement. So that was the game plan. Got out of college, worked my way up, became the general manager there. And then 2008 hit, and we all kind of know how that went. So the event planning business was one of those things that got cut first. So business kind of, dwindled down there. We still went through kind of making an offer to buy the business, but, financially, that just didn't quite work out. So at that point, I said, all right, it's time to move on. Let's figure something else out. And honestly, I wanted to move to Alaska and kind of live on the land and do do something out there. I'm a big outdoors person, love camping, hiking, skiing, all that kind of stuff. So that was like a little passion that I kind of wanted to do. I kind of explored it, looked at it, and then realized, I might need a little more money to do that. So, and I'm not that kind of guy that can just kind of wing it, let out of my van for a little while. So Pops came to me and said, want to try the spray booth business? So 2010, I jumped ship and joined Spray Booth. And I had worked for him in the past, a little bit in the summers, kind of helping those guys out and stuff like that. So I knew what he was doing. But 2010, joined on full steam, literally at the bottom, sweeping floors, doing service work, cutting filters, things like this. Learned every aspect of the business, worked my way. And my father officially retired in 2024. So off we go.
Wow. So it wasn't, here, son, come on in. You get to go sit in the office next to me. He said, you can come work here, but you're going to work here.
Oh, yeah, not at all. He kept me at the bottom. There was no favoritism there. I asked for that as well. I'll credit the guy that I was working for at the event planning business, actually. He really drilled into me when I was attempting to buy that business or looking to buy that business and take that over. You better know every aspect of this, because if somebody calls in sick and, you need to do this or that, you better be able to do it, because we're a small business. We all understand that. Yeah. So it was really ingrained in me to understand all aspects of it and be able to do them. So that's kind of something I've lived by for a while.
It's interesting because I always love the stories, no matter who it is, what it is. The entrepreneurial story, again, there's always a different path in a road. Mm-hmm. And, when it's specific to a family business that's being passed down, again, you hear so many different stories of how it's transitioned or not or whatever. And sometimes the kids are forced to be in the business, or it's just like they don't have another choice. And, for you were already on the path to attempt entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
When do you think that was or did you think it was always in your blood? You just wanted to figure out how to do it?
Speaking of golf, this kind of changed the subject a little bit, but I caddied and a little bit at the golf course across the street from my parents' house. And then I remember I got into the snack bar, and I started working the snack bar, and it was a little bit discombobulated there. They didn't have a manager or supervisor. And I remember stepping up. I think I was pretty young. I had to be 12, 13. I remember being like, I want to run this thing. I want to run the snack bar. So I was always the one like getting the food order, really kind of stepping up. So I think if they look back, it's ingrained in me to kind of be that one. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. So, that if you want to do the birthright thing or the birth order thing, I got those traits or whatever. Yeah. So starting then, I was like, all right, I want to run this. And then, went to the event planning. I wanted to work my way up there. So it's always been a passion of mine. Went to school, thinking business administration. It might have been an easier degree than some other ones, but
I have that too.
So well, okay, exactly. But it's treated me well. So, but yeah, I've always wanted to kind of take the reins and lead the ship, lead the sleigh. So
awesome. How was it working? Again, that was 14 years or so, right? With your dad in the business.
So my dad and I have a unique partnership. I hear all these stories like, I could never work with my dad. My dad, he does this, he does this. We're best of buddies. I don't know when that kind of evolved or kind of grew as that, but my dad and I have always traveled together. We scuba dive together. We camp together. We've done some pretty epic trips. So we've always had a great relationship. So when I joined him in business, it was peer-to-peer. It was, hey, I got your back, you got my back, let's figure this out. He had known that he, sacrificed to get me through college. He paid for a lot of that, got me there. My mother as well, give her a lot of credit for all that. But, he knew that the drive was there, and I'd be an excellent partner with him. And him and I are just yin and yang. We click. If I faltered or needed something, he would do it. If he the same, I would pick up the slack. And it's just always worked really, really well for us. So.
Well, that's great. So, in the end, when I know you said you peer-to-peer, right? But you were working your way up. Yeah. When was it really, other than from a friendship side, when was you really peer-to-peer as far as like you've got the reins of responsibility just as much as he, or I don't even know if that actually did happen, but So there's a catalyst, 2012. So we were always small. We were always the mom and pop shop. We have one other competitor out here, and he always had all the big jobs. So we always, industry people would always say, this company will, get it done. They're the top dogs. They'll make it happen. But if you want somebody, mom and pop, maybe a little less expensive, but they'll take care of you, you go to Ken and Jairus. Mm-hmm. So at some point, 2012, we struck up a relationship, actually in Vegas. We were at a trade show, and my dad, who can sell ice to an Eskimo, met with a guy. Last minute, there was a huge deal going on, and he got him to get a quote from us. And we were very competitive, and we made the pitch. So 2012 was our first 7-figure deal, really transformed the business, really put us on the map. And from then on, that's really when, me being a subordinate to my father, just kind of working our way up. It was him and I that kind of closed that deal. And we realized that both of us can make this happen. And at that point, I just kind of started elevating my way through and, really took on more responsibility rather than was given more responsibility. Sure. Yeah, I was ready to do it. I was let's make this happen, Dad. Let's go. So So was it as it progressed? You said he could sell ice to an Eskimo. Was he more of the front man on the selling side of business development, or where were you?
Absolutely. So he's sales, I'm operations. So that's kind of how the yin and the yang work. He's just a gift of gab. I'm more of a product knowledge sales kind of person. So I can bring to the table. I know exactly what we're talking about. I know how to get it installed. I know all the nuances of it. He is as well, but he's got that gift of twist that can really get somebody to buy something for me. He can close those deals. So. And oddly enough, last 2 years we brought my brother in, who is very much like my father and has that gift as well. So he's kind of filled those shoes for us. But yeah, operationally, I'm able to really kind of reign there and hold there and really make that happen. So
yeah, awesome. So you just said family member, right? Another brother
member again.
Brother coming in. And again, that was you said the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, there's another.
We have 2 more cousins in the business.
Okay.
Yeah, so nepotism runs well here.
No, and that's one thing that I again, that's the beauty of a small business, right? Again, sometimes it just feels like family, and sometimes it is family.
It really is.
It's a different trust factor, right? So, this one always gets, doesn't always. Has an opportunity to go many different directions, right? Because this will be aired, and we may edit it, depending. No, but how is that dynamic on the family side of things in business and? No.
So we've had a couple bumps. Some family members joined us that we figured out didn't quite work out so well. So whatever, no hard feelings. We moved on. But I have found family members you can really trust. Once we get through kind of the weeds a little bit and understand that we're not out here to be those guys that are try to take advantage of anybody really. Once we get on the same page, I can just trust those guys. I just know we can send them out. They're customer facing. They just make it happen. They know us through the thick and the thin. Everybody goes through a little stress in business, and it seems to me certain employees can, they kind of back away and say, uh-oh, something's wrong. Jairus is upset today. Let's do it. But family members, I don't know. I got my cousin put a little sticky note on my monitor and said, Jairus, cheer up. Everybody loves you. And so when you get frustrated, you kind of look at it, and it's great. And who's going to do that other than your family members? Yeah. So.
No, that's awesome. I can't imagine what that do for your day then.
Yeah, you just kind of look back and you go, yeah, what am I upset about? Yeah, come on, all right, click out, let's go, upward and onward.
I love it. Well, there's a whole nother hat that you have to wear, realizing, right? I mean, everyone's looking at you.
Oh, yes.
And how are you showing up, and how are then they showing up, right?
Right. There's lead by example for sure.
Yeah. And I think that there's a testament to, again, someone who's willing to have the family in the business, but not be And I have so many examples of great experiences and so many of bad ones, right? That ego gets in the way, and sometimes people think that they're entitled to more because they're family or whatever the case might be.
Oh, yes.
And if people are checking the ego at the door, then it's a whole completely different situation.
That's right.
But it sounds like, again, certainly your brother, I know you guys have a good, great relationship, and so that's got to be a good yin and yang type situation too, right?
It really is. Again, we did a little research on this prior to Jordan joining, and I'll go back to the kind of the birth order thing. He's the youngest brother. We got 2 sisters in between us. So it's always been younger brother, older brother. So that worked out, and I have the utmost respect for him and his abilities. But he's got that same drive. He's got that same ability to just make it happen. But yeah, the kind of older brother thing is there, and it just works. He's not stepping on my toes. I'm stepping on his. It just really works out really well. So yeah,
that's fantastic. You know what? Now, because I know you're a family man.
Oh yes.
You, like me, procreated.
We
plenty.
did.
And I know that. So you've been in the business. Did you have kids before you made this jump over to
I did.
Yeah.
Yep. So, no, actually, I'm wrong. My oldest 2012 was born. So yeah, it was 2 years in when my oldest was born. So that's actually, thinking back on it, that's why I wanted to go to Alaska, because I didn't have any kids or responsibilities at that time. Okay, cool, yeah. So, but then I'd met my wife probably right about the time I joined my dad's business, and we had started a family. So my oldest is 2012, so he'll be 13 in a couple of weeks. And then I got a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So keeps us happy, running around. There's never a dull moment, that's for sure.
No, I love it. And you, how hard do you find it to juggle both, right? To be again, I know there are times when you can, certainly on the contract, you can be very busy and you're the man on call. How do you find yourself in that seesaw?
Yeah, that's very interesting. First of all, I give all the credit to my wife, so we'll shout her out right now. She keeps she keeps this whole thing together, and she's amazing. She's an utterly amazing mother. She just is great for these children. But I have found myself interacting different with my youngest than my oldest. My oldest, I was just starting the business, and really, I probably didn't give as much attention as I should have. Our relationship is great, but I did notice in the beginning, I worked more. Not to say I don't work more now, but maybe took that a little away. But my youngest, I'm there at the T-ball games. Yeah. I'm making sure I'm not missing those. But and he, I'll bring him up to the shop on the weekends and just kind of tinker around with him. So that has evolved, and then I've realized that. Family is everything. So, you just have to force yourself and just make it happen. Spend some more time with them. The business will be there tomorrow. So, do what we can do. Well,
you just said it will be there tomorrow, but that's so many entrepreneurs that I talk to, right? It's either, they either have everything great going on the family side of things because that's making a priority, or the business is doing really well and the other is suffering, and it's hard. There's only so much time in a day.
There sure is.
Right. And recognizing that how you show up, your kids see it no matter, just like I'll overshare. My daughter just texted me and said, "Dad, I think you need to golf a little less next week because mom is a little unhinged." Since I had a couple golf outings this week and the kids are home from school now, right?
Oh, yes.
It's summertime, so I gotta pause and make sure that I give her a break too, because it's not often that I do it, but it is that our kids are going to be there to remind us whether we either in a good way or a bad way, right?
You're exactly right, and they grow up so quickly. I mean, it's a blink of an eye. I can't believe my oldest is 13 already, and the youngest, we pictures scroll through the Amazon thing, and he was a baby yesterday. Yeah, and now he's running around, t-ball, all this stuff. Graduated kindergarten today, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mine just graduated kindergarten as well.
Yep, perfect.
Third one. But also a ton of fun. And actually mine's getting older too. So he just turned 15 and my daughter through, in the past, and this is just a reflection of how I've done things, right? It's like I'm the sole provider, so I'm gonna shield them from the bad, right? I'm supposed to be the strong, just like in my business, right? You want me to be the strong one. And so when things have been tough, like for the first time, I started sharing with them, right, over the past 2 years of what we, kind of been going through. And it was amazing when I shielded, when I was, whether it be shame, whatever I was dealing with, really bringing them into the conversation. It's amazing how much, I didn't give them credit enough for how mature they might be. Even though they're little kids that do stupid stuff, they get it.
They get it. They're observant too. I'm amazed at the things they tell me that I'm like, you saw that? You witnessed that? Uh-oh, I didn't know, for better or for worse too, So sometimes the language even, we're a mechanical contractor. We show up at work and 4-letter words are very common, so, and my wife's a teacher, so those things, that's not in her vocabulary. So whenever the kids do something, they know whose fault it is. Anyway, but yeah, I'm amazed at the maturity level of them even at such young ages. I don't know if I've shared as much as I probably should, but with my oldest, I can tell, like we're going to go up north this weekend, Father's Day weekend, so it'll just be both boys and me, and then my dad's going too. But
awesome.
Kind of a tradition. But yeah, just getting that togetherness, kind of talking to them. You can open up to them. They're smart. They got more insight than you really think.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's another thing that I think is great, because you said you're an outdoors person. I wanted to bring it back when you brought up Alaska, because your family could do that, right? I mean, you guys, that you are a camping family. And
oh yeah. Our summer vacations, we got a pop-up camper. We hook it up, and actually this year we're planning to go to the UP, and against my wife's wishes, she's a planner, so she's like, well, all the campsites are booked. I go, we'll just wing it. She goes, well, what? I go, we're gonna wing it. Well, how do we do that? I go, there's campgrounds that's just first come first serve. We'll make it happen. Needless to say, she's nervous. She's like, what's going on? But we're gonna do that this year. So we're gonna just go up there and kind of hit the different spots, and that's how I was brought up. So I'm good with it. But it'll be a great experience.
That's awesome, and to teach kids, so they, so I assume like they're chore driven. They know when you're there, everybody's got to chip in, and
they do. It took us a little while to learn it, but when we pull up to a campsite, it's like everybody's got their job, and they're all happy and they love it, and they just we get the camper up, we get the coolers out, the youngest knows to crack a beer for dad right away, and then we're all happy from there.
The important things
exactly.
In life. That is a life lesson that they're going to get. That's fantastic.
Yep, it's wonderful.
Well, hey, we're going to go into a new section, because I know you have some pretty exciting things happening with SVP.
Mm-hmm.
That I know you've been working on for quite a while.
I have.
So, what's new?
So the paint booth business has been interesting the last several years. It's been going through a little bit of a consolidation process. Private equity is getting involved. So with that happening, and we're a distributor-based business, so we got territory that we're allowed to sell on. I began thinking, trying to figure out how are we going to grow this business. There's some organic opportunity there, but we're landlocked, so we can only do so much. So acquisition pops into your head. And kind of in the same vein as I got the business from my father, he's ready to retire. He started the business in his mid-50s, so not later in life, and so he retired. I was able to do that. The distributor network for the manufacturer we distribute for has the owners of these companies are of that age. They're the boomers. They're in their mid-60s, early 70s. And in the future, there's a couple more targets down maybe a little east, down the Great Lakes. So nice. We'll see, again, kind of guys that are of that age to retire. And we'll see if my brother and I can really take this thing to new heights.
Awesome. So congratulations, by the way. Again, you've been working on it for a long time. How distracting has that been from your day-to-day, what you've been trying to do for years?
That's a great question. So in the beginning, it was incredibly distracting, even maybe a little too much, and it had me second thinking, what am I getting into here? With the advice of the great Bob Holland, we'll do a shout out there. I've kind of gotten to talk to people that have gone down this path, and it's grounded me.
Right, because I know there's the shiny objects, the first part of it, right? I'm sure is just the optimism of, right?
Yes.
That's a big deal, right? It's not, we didn't just grow a little bit year over year, right? This is a whole different thought process. a point that I'd like to nail on is, as business owners, and although most of the time we take the burden on ourselves, right? The family doesn't get involved in all this stuff. That's why you get paid the big bucks, but all the risk is on your head also. The family is a part of that business. So you just said, like, most people don't think about, you're leveraging all these things, right?
Oh yeah.
Or in a small to medium business, right? If you have a line of credit, if you have a loan, right? There's a collateral somewhere, and many times it's our house.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and many people don't understand that.
All right.
And what goes along with that? Like, for your wife, like, how did that go? I'm sure that was just an easy conversation.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a slow roll. It took me a few months to be like, would you sign here? What am I signing? Don't worry about it, just sign here. What about here? What am I signing? About the fourth or fifth signature. She's like, all right, let's sit down. What's going on here, dude? It's like, well, the house, it might be up for collateral. So, but no, we've had some deep conversations about it. Just complete faith in myself and my brother. She really does. She's been a rock star in it. And she's going to be the grounding force of this, because us visionaries, us people can get really, like, yes, we're going to do it. And, I'll come home and she'll kind of knock down a few pegs and say, all right, well, there's still bills to pay. Make sure, all this T's are crossed and I's are dotted. So,
you know what? Yeah, so funny. For many of us, right? Like you said, on the visionary side of things, right? There are either people around us, they love seeing us happy, so they they just feed into our excitement or whatever, or they respect us or whatever, right? Yeah. There are a few people are going to tell us, maybe watch what you're doing, but the one that knows us the most, the one that can call us on our shit, right?
Yes, exactly.
And it has caused plenty of rift between my wife and I when she has, like, well, wait a minute, that's our money. If you're hiring this many people, and what are we doing? And it's like, no, don't worry about it. But then you stop and realize, like, no, like, she's a real concern, and she's actually not wrong.
Yeah, she's right. Exactly.
It's like, holy shit. Because she's a teacher also, right? So most of the time, it's like, I gave her an opportunity to come into the business. She's like, no, let's not do that. I'm like, all right, fair enough. And she's always like, well, I don't know business, but man, she knows enough to sniff around when I'm skirting around the edges of something.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's that teacher, right? They've been well trained. They know exactly that. I'm in the same boat. My wife, right? She, and I'm sure your wife as well. They see us with the facade down, like they, when we're home and think maybe we did have a tough day, right? They can tell when we're down, and then they help pick us up. I don't show that to the staff or the people, or even really my brother, right? But my wife sees that, and so she's able to, pat us on the back or whatever, and just kind of give me that extra oomph to get through it. So
and I'll say, like, even on the negative side, like, again, I did. There was a time when I resented my wife for it. I was like, man, why can't you be my cheerleader?
Yeah.
Why can't you? Everybody else loves me. Why can't you? And then she's like, I do love you, you dumbass.
Yeah.
No, but coming from love, right? It took me a long time to realize that, no, she's not trying to rain on my parade.
I know.
She's from love. She doesn't want to see me fail.
Exactly.
Right? She wants to make sure that I've looked at everything, because she knows I don't look at everything. Yeah. Right? And so, now it's completely different. When she says it, I'm like, okay, I better listen. Mm-hmm. Right?
Let's step back a second. Yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone, even though, again, I say this often, right? I work with a lot of, on the coaching side, I work with a lot of family businesses, and but that's in the literal sense when someone's in the business. But when you step back, they're all family businesses.
Really, they are.
Because the families are in it, if you do it the right way anyway. Your family, feels it, good, bad, or ugly. They know what, they're a part of it.
They really are. I mean, they really, really are. They can tell those weekends that, you need to recuperate and you're stuck in bed because you just had a crazy week, they're there. They see that. Yeah, so they're in it. They're definitely invested. Yeah. But that's the point too. I mean, that's what keeps me going, I know we got a lot of mouths to feed, so.
Yes, for everyone's edification. Yeah. There's 8 between us.
Yes.
Right? So.
Almost to a baseball team.
Yes. So, what, how about the transition, like for you and your dad, like the transition for him to be out of the business, have confidence and all that, blah, blah. How How long did that transition take, or was it a part of the plan for a long time?
So, it's always been part of the plan, but because my dad and I just kind of make it happen, we didn't really get serious about putting things in paper, until, again, Vistage kind of, I'll give Bob Holland said, hey, you better figure that out. So I would say 2024, he officially retired. Maybe 2 or 3 years prior to that, we started, engaging outside counsel kind of thing to get some paperwork drawn up. And my dad always just kind of trusted me with, you're just gonna take it over, it's all good. But we did formalize it, and my dad gave me very favorable terms to make this happen. I couldn't do it without him. He made sure that our success obviously determines his retirement, so he's all for that. But yeah, he didn't, he wasn't the guy that said, all right, you got to buy a villa, here you go, I'm out of here, I'm going to ride off into the sunset. He left the ability for my brother and I to really, keep him going, keep him paid, make sure he has a good retirement, but allow us the ability to really kind of keep this business kicking, and growing.
Yeah, and that's a testament to him, to you, to probably your mom, probably to all of it, right, to have
absolutely
to that happen, because it doesn't always just like you find when someone dies, right? Family's great until there's money involved, right? Then all of a sudden the claws come out, or the whatever, right? And a lot of times it's their baby and they're trying to transition to their kids. Well, then they all of a sudden have a singular view about my retirement, or my wealth, or what I'm going to do, and that's what sounds great, right? That your dad had and your relationship and all the above, right? To not make that, because he can't just hand it over. I mean, he could, I'm sure. Maybe he's independently wealthy now and can.
Right,
but
yeah.
There is a dollar, like there's money involved.
There sure
and
is.
That's not easy.
No, right. And God willing, he's still got another 25 years to live, or more, so he's got to make sure he's taken care of. But yeah, I've heard countless horror stories about, I have some close friends now who resent their dad. They worked great together, but they resent it now. They've taken over the business because, dad's living in Arizona in the big house, whatever. And he's still paying for things for dad, and they're upset about it. That's not my case. And I'm incredibly fortunate for that. And, and thankful.
Yeah. And I think, that's where sometimes, just numerous, even with Bob Holland, I've just heard numerous other stories about him helping come into that dynamic, because if left to vices, sometimes there's just an impasse and no one's going to move forward. But having someone that can help get both of them to see the end game here, do you really want to bury your son and all the things you're trying to do?
Exactly.
Do you really want to do that?
That's huge. Yeah. Yeah, because business, it keeps us, we got to move. We got a lot of work to do. So retirement has been a struggle, really, kind of for my dad, right? He still comes into the shop most days a week, which is hilarious. But he's got different hobbies, honeybees and flowers anyway. So, but yeah, it's hard to kind of just shut that off, because the business is our life, right? We answer the phones all hours of the night, day, whatever, weekends. It doesn't matter to us, right? We want to make sure we're keeping our customers happy. So it's been interesting for him to figure out that transition and still support us and show up. And be perfectly honest, if I got a problem with, a city inspection or something, he's still my mentor. I can call him and say, hey, Pops, remember that a couple years ago this happened? What did you do again? He goes, you do this or this or this. And, we get out of it. It's great.
Well, that's fantastic. Jairus, I really, really enjoyed having you on here, because, again, I love hearing so many different stories. And I've always respected you. So glad I can have you on. How do people get in touch with you, whether through someone looking for a job, or, again, you selling things? Right?
Yeah.
How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So our website is the best option right now, sprayboothproducts.net, and then we got the LinkedIn, we got Facebook, and we got Instagram. We just actually hired somebody, she's wonderful, that's been really kicking our Instagram and Facebook into high gear for us. So those are great ways. Email us, Jairus at sprayboothproducts.net. I'm always open. We're always looking for people. We're interviewing all the time. Just looking for the right people, experience, good culture. That's what we want. So, reach out. We're a growing business, looking for the right people.
Love it. Jump on board. I love to ask my guests a point in their life, a mistake, failure, something that they learned from, that, again, could be wherever it goes, right? That someone else can learn from.
Yeah, sure. And I'd be remiss to say I wasn't thinking about this before I took a couple sneak peeks at some podcasts and knew this one was coming. So I've reflected on it a little bit. That was a challenging thought to think of this as well, because some people don't like to admit to their failures. But I kind of want to revert back to what I was saying about my relationship with my kids. I think I wasn't as close to my oldest as I probably should have been early on, and I figured that out as we've gone. So, I focused more on the business early on, and, I got a kid and my wife is taking care of it. Cool, we're good to go.
Yep.
Second, third, fourth came, and it's really shifted my mindset. I've really made a conscious effort, really deeply too, to make sure that I'm getting in with my kids more and more. And my kids are still young, right? So I still got some time to make sure my oldest likes me. Hope he does now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just notice I'm much different, as the kids have evolved. So, I don't know if that's a failure or more or less just a life lesson, something you kind of get through, but that's something I think about often and really focus on and make sure I keep that going.
You know what? Again, that's for anyone and everyone, right? That's the gift that God has allowed us to bring to this world as our kids.
Absolutely.
And how they show up is how we show up.
Yep.
And so, no, I appreciate you bringing that up, because again, we all need the reminder, whether we're great 98% of the time, or there's that one time when you're like, oh, I know I did whatever.
Yeah.
But I also didn't hear you say you're not beating yourself up over it. You're like, hey, I just know how I need to show up, right? So
Exactly.
Can't undo it.
You can't undo it. Actually, my brother-in-law got me into Stoic philosophy, so I've been really reading that a lot and getting into it, and I've been trying to adopt that philosophy. And whatever happened in the past, it is what it is. You got to learn from it, reflect on it, but you got to keep moving forward. And that's something I've been really, really focused on. Challenges are ahead. Let's just hit them head on and figure out a way around them. There's no sense in dwelling over them or tripping over them and things like that and feeling sorry for yourself. It's not gonna get you anywhere. So let's go.
That's why I can't wait to see how your kids grow up, because they've got great path ahead of them.
They certainly do.
Well, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, John.
Had a ball.
Yeah, me too. Pleasure. I'm super excited for this podcast. I think it's great. I'm super excited for you. Glad that this is working out. And thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's a wrap.
Thanks for tuning in to The Roll Call with John Glahn. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe for more insightful conversations. Remember, discovering your true role in life is a journey worth exploring each and every day. Until next time, keep defining your path and living your authentic self. This is John Glahn signing off.